Both texts was on. I mean documents.
Word.
Thank you, Mr. Eustache. Both texts were violent.
Were violence. Okay, so they both have violence in them. Terry?
It's kind of what she's saying, like, in the end, people were injured.
Okay, people were injured and it was reported. So what about but what about how this stuff was reported? So let's talk about the injuries. Did both documents reported similarly or differently? And all right, Joe.
Thank you. Differences. There were more injuries in the second document because it states, I can tell you, the second document says there were 537 people who were injured, while document 8 states there were 500 people who were injured.
Please.
Pause. Amaya.
Thank you so much, Angel. You are incorrect because it says over 500 people were injured. They did not know the exact number, but they said over 500 people.
All right, so that's actually something that is similar. All right.
I just want to.
Okay, so what about the differences? Let's dive into some of the differences. I'd like to hear some different people. Soraya?
No, it's a fist.
All right, you got it. Tell me a difference.
Oh. Okay. So in the textbook, it really don't give me enough information about the black. I mean, it gave me some information.
Yeah, thank you, Washington.
You know, it gave me information, but it don't give me enough information what the history book gives me.
All right, so that is a visual difference, right? The text that source A is shorter than source B.
Yeah.
All right, that's a visual difference. You noticed that before even reading. Terry?
Thank you. I think they're both similar, but it's like they're both describing the same thing. But I think document B gave more information of like how he dealt with it. Like A is just talking about like how it happened and the cause of it, but document B is talking about like what was the effect of it. Like I don't know.
Okay, so now let's dive into some of the details of the actual story itself. So we know that it happened at the beach. They both talk about that. We know that they both talk about the riots that erupted afterwards. They both talk about, Angel, have a seat. Lindsay, track over here. They both talked about the stones being thrown and a beach being segregated. But what are some of the differences within the story, Amaya?
Thank you, Ms. Eustace. Some differences within the story are that the one thing they say is that the white, while document A says that whites and blacks threw stones, document B just states that whites were the only ones that threw the stones.
Okay, that's a very important difference. This is why it's important to make sure, Washington, that we're paying attention as we're reading. When we're doing our group work, we're making sure that our conversations are focused conversations. Thank you, Amaya. So that's a huge difference. Document A says that they both threw stones at each other. Document B says the whites threw stones only. What about another difference? Sanaa, what's another difference that you saw?
I saw that.
Pause. I want to make sure people are writing this down. All right, so if you don't have these differences down, you should be writing that down, not just kind of like sitting, because right now there's about 3 or 4 people doing the thinking for the class. Thank you, Angel, and Amaya, and Kaden, a couple people, and Terry. All right, so you should be writing that down. So, Mike, can you say that one more time? What was the difference that you noticed?
Thank you. While document A says that both blacks and whites threw the stone, document B just says the whites threw the stone.
Okay. So document A says both threw stones. Document B says only whites threw stones. What about how the situation came about? Go ahead. Yep.
Which one, document B?
For both. I mean, you're
For both
comparing the
are
difference.
differences.
What's the difference?
I said for document B, it said it shows like what both sides did differently. Like in the text it said that a black staff Italian, but in document A it only said white protect black and black protect white.
Right. So what about the situation with the person or how they came to interact, the races at this beach? Kaden?
Well, thank you, Mr. E. Document A, they said that whites
threw stones at an African American teenager.
Before the stones are being thrown.
No, he about to get to
Okay, go ahead.
And they said they was throwing at an African American teenager near the beach to prevent him from getting offshore. That's when they was throwing stones. Both sides was throwing stones in document A, but in document B, they said that the teenager he floated.
Can I add on?
Hold on.
He had drifted into the space when they started throwing stones.
So in document B, it says the young man drifted into the segregated white portion of the beach. What about document A, Zavia? It says that the African Americans went to the beach, went to that part of the beach. So that's a difference in how it's interpreted. There's a difference in people going purposefully to a place and someone maybe mistakenly going on a side that they weren't supposed to be on, right?
And one.
So you have, what's that, Amaya? You want to add something?
Yeah, I thought Kato was great, and like in document A, they just said, oh, that he drowned, but they didn't add on what document B said that the Negroes declared that he was murdered.
Okay. Right. So you have many differences and some similarities. You pointed out a difference, Amaya, with the sources. I think. Yeah, you told me. Can you tell?
Thank you. I said, when they asked me which account do I trust more, I said I trust the history book more because if you look at the bottom, when Angel read the source, the history book was first published in 1947, and that's only 28 years after the incident happened, while the textbook, The American Vision, was published in 2006.
All right. So, that's a great way to think about why you should be trusting sources, when the source was written. Also, who wrote the source itself? What information do you have about about the sources that are differently that can help you figure out which source you trust more? William? I gotta speak up. I want you to speak for the class, not just me.
It says source of vision, the American vision.
Okay, and what about document B?
That John Hope Franklin from slavery to freedom, a history of Negro Americans, 1987, sixth edition, first published in 1947.
So which, and it goes on to tell you a lot more. So which source do you have more information about? Just tell me, class.
B. It wasn't in
All right, so you have more information about source B. What do you know about the source, about the author of source B? I need some. Hold on. I want to hear some different voices. All right, Soraya, what do you know about the author of source B? What can you tell us about the author of source B?
Wait, where is it? Oh,
Yeah.
he was a United States historian and past president of the Organization of American Historians and American History Ancient.
So
It says, alright.
Tell me your own words. Oh, Mr. Calls.
Yes, Miss Williams, Miss Dent, Miss Pisho, Mr. Sullivan is gone, Mr. Wells.
All right, so those of you who are leaving, you're doing documents C, D, and Jill, listen up. You're doing documents C, D. Oh, Aaron A, never mind.
Oh, I did.
You're doing documents C, D, and E for homework. Make sure you get that graphic organized completely. That's great. Awesome. Hurry up, Kalia.
I'm ready.
All right, so we have 1 minute to get out of here. Soraya, tell us more clearly what's the difference. What's some information you can tell us about source B?
So
About the author.
history book,
The author.
that
Yeah.
he wrote numerous books about slavery.
Wrote a lot of books. Yep.
African American.
Exactly. And we know, so we have more information about source B. What else can you tell us? Jermaine, look at source B at the bottom. It tells us about the author. What can you tell me about John Hope Franklin? So scholars, today we're doing a lot of looking up at me for answers, but the answers aren't on my face. The answers are always on the text. Dominic, help him out.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. He was a slavery and he became free.
What's that?
He was a slavery and he became free.
John O. Franklin? Mm-mm.
About freedom, slavery.
Okay, he wrote a book about, oh, okay, he wrote a book. Yes. Terry?
Thank you. What I just noticed was like after document 8, whoever the author was, his sources, like it's not giving me enough like to back, like to support what he got from my perspective. And all it says the American Vision 2006. And for source B, it's giving me like the source, who, like the specific people, what it was when they took, and like a little summary of what you just read. So like that's the difference.
Exactly. And am I bringing home one last difference?
Thank you. A difference about this, I'm gonna hand it up, but the man who wrote the document B, he was a historian, so he had to study history in order to get this. In text A, in document A, it really didn't tell you, oh, well, yeah, so and so wrote this. You don't know where they got it from, so you can't really say, oh, I go with document A when they don't tell you who wrote it.
Exactly. So it's very important. It's a very important skill, especially for all of us living in these times, in this internet information overload era, that we know exactly how to determine whether something is a credible source or not a credible source. So which source do you think is more credible, document A or document B?
B.
All right, document B is probably the conclusion you should come to. Now, what you're going to do for homework, you're not turning anything in today, an exit ticket. What you're going to do for homework is documents C, D, and E. You're going to go through a very similar activity. You're going to look at your graphic organizer. It's going to tell you what, you're going to identify what the source is.